This one is about loving the earth and caressing the earth, loving the earth, taking care of the earth. In this case, the earth is our baby and we can't live without it. So we need to get off of the consume mode, get out of the consume mode and get into a more protective paradigm to protect the earth. So that's what this stencil is about. A stencil here that deals with the fact that the corporations need to be thrown out of the planet. So this is going to be about the corporations just being ousted and being thrown out, and that we don't need them. They're destroying the planet and we're not going to put up with it. So this is about chasing out the corporations. Chasing out the corporations from the earth.
Chasing what?
The corporations and banks, finance, all of these big business things that are ruining the planet, and it's about time to just, you know, slough them off. We don't even need a violent revolution. Just ignore them and just let them go away. The earth is just chasing them away and saying, we don't need you guys anymore. We can do without you. We don't need banks. We don't need corporations, we don't need all of the consumed products that they're trying to shove down our throats. So if we just let that stuff go and just forget about it, so the corporations will end up basically just dissolving and drying up and just dying without any kind of violence. We don't need to do anything. All we have to do is to stop supporting the banks, stop supporting the corporations, stop supporting Coca-Cola, Exxon, Big Pharma, the food corporations, and what will happen? They will just dissolve because they're not needed anymore. They'll dissolve like the Wicked Witch of the West and just wither and die. I'm Brooke McGOWEN. I'm an artist, a painter, and also I do political performance and I do street art, but originally I'm a painter. I was born in Chicago. I went to the Chicago Art Institute, then I studied physics, and then I went to Europe and I studied painting at the Academy in Vienna, Austria. I stayed in Austria for many years, and then I moved to Portugal, and then 4 years ago I moved to New York, and I was living in Brooklyn for 3.5 years, and now I've moved a little bit further upstate where I have a large studio, which is inexpensive, which is something that you can't find, unfortunately, here in the city. So I started painting when I was 2, or I guess when I was 1.5, as soon as I could recognize that making a mark with paint was a way to express yourself. It gave me so much satisfaction that I never stopped, and I've been painting ever since. And the medium that I'm presently working with is fluorescent paint. I started working with fluorescent paint, which glows in black light, and I discovered that you can basically make 2 paintings in one. If you have one painting that is visible in white light, and then you turn on the black light and suddenly details appear that you couldn't see before, or the whole painting transforms into a whole different topic. So that's something that I've been working on in the last couple of years. I have a couple of examples here. Maybe I could show you those. So here are some so-called secret paintings. Here you have an abstract painting. This is a large painting, 4 by 8 feet. Is it good? Am I holding it okay? Now, when you turn off the white light and turn on the black light, this is what the painting looks like. So here's another example. Here's another example. This is the way the painting looks in white light. It looks very innocuous and boring. It's just an abstract painting. Of course, if you turn on the black light, then you see these hidden figures that are totally invisible. So that's one aspect of working with black light. You can build in a lot of tricks and a lot of fun things. Now, what I was trying to talk about before when we were in the museum is that Cézanne has been so important for my work, because Cézanne developed a method of showing space using elements. And if you develop this method further, you can even enlarge the elements and you can make them more loose and more wild, so that you can basically get a very loose and very abstract painting and still realize a figure or a scene or a landscape or whatever you want, a tree or whatever you want. So this is a method of realization where you can realize something and still have abstract, wild elements which are moving rhythmically through the painting, creating an abstract composition. So that's the idea with Cézanne's color elements. I also use this concept in my stencil work. If I can try and explain this. Now we're seeing this stencil the wrong way around. So everything that's white is going to be black, and everything that is black is going to be white. So obviously black is the darker color, so it's going to retreat. So anything that's supposed to be in front of anything else has got to be white, and if it's in the back, it's got to be black. So it is, the elements are relative to one another. You get the element that's in front and the other element is in back. And that's how you can realize even a complicated theme like this one, which is a figure, an earth, two hands, a head, etc. There's quite a bit going on, but it's very easy to realize it using spatial elements. So, what else do we want to know? Oh, thank you guys so much. Here we go. What do I like to do on my day off? Oh my God, I don't have a day off. I don't have a day off because I am always working to get my art seen. So I'm always either out on the street spraying, or I'm at home cutting stencils, or I'm working on my various websites, or I'm doing political performances on Wall Street or wherever to get out there and to get the message out there. So I don't have a day off. I don't need a day off because my work is very consuming, and it's also very satisfying, and I really enjoy it when people get the message and you can see them getting the message. They see, for example, a stencil and they go, wow, I understand that. So that's what I'm working towards, and so that's why I don't need a day off. Now, what other questions do we have? A favorite work of art? Well, one of my favorite works of art was the one that we saw in the museum this morning. That was a Cézanne, where the elements were very visible. So you can see him building with elements. He's using them like a quilt. He's sewing them together like the patches of a quilt. So if you can imagine just taking little patches of color, connecting them, to build a spatial composition that is realizing some situation by relative color space. That is, one element is coming forward, the other element is retreating, and it all depends on the color of the element. If it's more cool or if it's more dark, it will retreat. If it's more light or if it's more brilliant or warm, it will come forward. So that is color space. That's Cézanne's concept that we can all use in our painting, and we're so grateful to Cézanne for giving us this leg up into introducing us to a method that's very useful for any artist who wants to have an abstract composition and at the same time be able to realize a figurative scene. So you're getting basically the strong expression of a narrative, which you need in order to express yourself. You need to be able to have all the figures in there and doing whatever they're doing. This narrative aspect is very important, the storytelling aspect of a work of art. And at the same time, you have the possibility of expanding the elements to become very abstract, very rhythmical and wild. So you have the expression from the paint, the expression from the material paint. The material paint is unfolding its game, unfolding its power onto the canvas, and at the same time realizing a scene. So it's like Cézanne said once, I'm going to have to paraphrase this a little bit, when the abstract composition is at its highest point, then the object is being realized in its most realistic form. That sounds a little bit cryptic, but what he's trying to say is when the composition is, when the intensity of the color of the composition is there, then you're also able to see, then the visibility of the object is at its highest.